Right. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. I want to start by saying welcome back to Sally Law, who is on the call today. I know that we announced that she had been that she's joining back with the Burien office um, a couple of weeks ago when we got word on that. But I know that Sally is on for the first time today, so welcome back, Sally. We're really happy to have you. We do have a couple of other potential agents that are going to be coming on with us pretty soon that are also in on the call today. So it's great to have you as well. Let's see. First thing, right? I think we've got to just right away get right into the biggest elephant in the room, and that is the big email that a lot of you guys saw last night, or maybe you just saw it this morning, or maybe you heard in the news, this phase two and what it means to real estate, right? I've gotten pummeled with calls, which is great because this means that you guys are really excited about getting back into a more normal, right, or the more previous normal situation with our real estate. And there were some things in there. There's not a whole lot, but there were some things like, hey, 3 people to a showing now instead of 2, and things of that nature. But we've got to slow down for a minute, okay? The email that came out from the Washington Association of Realtors looked really great, and if you glanced at it quick, you may not have noticed. Of course, it's talking about for phase 2. And we need to kind of talk about, well, what is that? What does that mean? What phase 2? We know the phases, right? And isn't phase 2 supposed to start in the beginning of June? And if you haven't noticed that the different counties in Washington are in different phases at different times and will be at different phases at different times as we go. So just like when we started with this, when we first got the lock-in orders and there was all kinds of chaos and it was like, what can we do? What can't we do? We would get a piece of information and then we'd throw it up on Facebook and, and then we go, oh, crud, no, that's not right now. Or, it was right for a minute, but now it's not. And now we got to revise it and change it. And I know for a couple of weeks, I was trying to throw out that mantra of just when you see something new, just let it settle for a second, because it might not be exactly what you think that it is. So let's talk about this a little bit. The stuff that just came out referred to commercial real estate. It referred to more people in the showings and some clarification, include actually what really amounts to like a 5-page document about what real estate offices have to do in order to open back up. All right. But if you read further, you'll notice currently in Washington state that there are 10 counties that are already in phase 2. There are 10 more counties that are in a position where the state is saying, hey, you can apply to move into phase 2. All right. Those new counties are Spokane County and San Juan and Island County and Kitsap County and Mason and Adam and Thurston and Lewis and Clark. Yeah, Thurston, Lewis, Clark. That's not us. That's not us, right? We're all in King County. And if you continue to dig further to get more information about, well, what does this mean for us? Couple things to know about phase 2, right? Phase 2, to be able to, for our county to be able to go into phase 2, the requirement is that we have to have 10 or fewer cases, new cases of the virus for every 100,000 people that we have of population over a 14-day period. King County has 2.25 million people. That means that we would have to have 250 or 225, less than 225 cases, new cases over a 14-day period in order to then apply to be phase 2 eligible, or to move into phase 2. The application process can take up to a week. All right. Again, going further and taking some time to go, okay, well, what does this really mean? Where are we right now? Well, King County in the last week, Monday to Monday, this was yesterday's numbers. In the last week, King County had 420 new cases. That's in 1 week. We have to be under 525 over the course of 2 weeks for the entire county. So we've got a little ways to go. But again, even saying that, I have to slow down and I have to remind myself, right? And we have to remember ourselves that that could change too. There's nothing saying that the requirement won't change tomorrow. There's nothing saying that we won't have sharp increases or decreases. we just don't know. So we've got to be really, really careful with information. And it's going to start coming at us really, really fast as we start getting closer and closer to reopening more things. And so it's just wildly important that we remember anything and everything can change at any time. So I've been getting over the last week a lot of questions about, well, when are we going to reopen offices and what's that going to look like and everything else. And the reality is that not only do I know or not know, but we probably won't really have that kind of information until 24, 48, 72 hours before we start implementing some of these things. If you really have time on your hands, you can go and you can look at the long list of things that real estate offices have to do in order to open back up. And there are a lot of questions in there. Just like before, when something comes out, everybody reads it and goes, well, what about this? And they didn't think about that. And that contradicts that. And, there's always these things that come up. So be patient with the process. We'll get there. But I don't believe that anything that we saw yesterday in terms of these new things that we can do in real estate or what's going to happen in phase 2 is really all that close necessarily to happening for us in King County, unless different things are laxed and we have more ability that way. We'll see. All right. So hopefully that answers your questions there. Again, at the end of today's meeting, we will answer questions. We do have a ton to go through today, and I have tried to shorten some of it up because I knew that we had to talk about that. We've got another thing we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes that was kind of new and out of nowhere. And so at any rate, but the meeting's going to be a pretty solid one today. So stick with it because there is stuff all the way through that you're going to want to know. Just a real quick reminder, Zoom room from Monday. First of all, it's phenomenal. Great discussion. That is up on YouTube that you can check out. Just Google Tay Krull and Zoom room and you'll find it right away. I'll just highlight one of the big takeaways. I think that the people that are finding success in however they're defining it right now in the COVID situation, right, in the lockdown, whether it's success in doing a lot of sales or success in gearing up for times of the sales in the future or maintaining conversations or relationships with their clients and building that customer loyalty. The common theme from a lot of people that were expressing a lot of success and positivity about their business was really around just this increased communication, the opportunity to have more communication and having more people come in and or having more people that they are having meaningful communication with and maybe even over communicating with, but making sure that they've got that. So at any rate, it's kind of funny because I already had increase your communication as part of today's notes that I wanted to cover from last week before Zoom room. And then once that hit, it went, wow, this is really something that people are really attacking. We're really doing a great job of making sure that we're communicating with our folks. I want to mention or ask for your help with the new Pinnacle program. As you have opportunities to share that with your clients, present that, please let me know how that's going. Big thanks to Ken Kanoki. He's doing one of these with his clients right now. And Ken has been giving me feedback on different things that are going on. And it seems like it's going in a great direction for him. But any feedback, any experience that you're going through is going to be very, very helpful as we continue to kind of learn this process. So that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Let's talk about some stats. So one thing that we haven't heard stats on in a while, but I think is very interesting. I was really happy to see this. I got some stats the other day about our AdWorks marketing, right? We haven't talked about AdWorks in quite a while, but I saw some AdWords stats and it made me go, wow, this is really amazing. Again, how many of you are paying for your AdWorks marketing? The answer is 0, right? This is an added marketing feature that came in for us that we've been able to utilize. In April alone, our ads for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Northwest Real Estate reached 737,000 people. And from that, led to over 1,800 clicks, right? 1,800 times somebody saw one of your ads for your listing or for you personally that we've been putting out there, and they clicked on that and they went to your website to get information about your listing or information about you. That is significant. We started this last May. Since last May, we've had over 16 million listing impressions, listing and ad impressions. So whether it's your listing or it's ads for you personally, 16,043,000 times where those clicked and got and went through. So anyway, stats are really interesting. It's great to hear, but that AdWorks campaign is really working well in terms of exposure. So anyway, keep an eye for that. If you haven't seen yourself, I don't know, a lot of agents have been sending me photos still, finding themselves on the internet, which is kind of fun. Another thing that I want to mention and make sure that everybody is aware of is Chris Stewart, the CEO of our great company of HomeServices. He has the Forever Forum that he is moderating, and they do one or two of these meetings a week on Facebook. And it's really a, hey, they're grabbing top agents from different parts of the country and saying, hey, what are you doing? How are you working your business during this time, and things of that nature. And those are phenomenal. You can go back and check those out on Facebook, and you can set up a reminder so that you can check those out as they're live if you want. But really a lot of great information. I know some of our agents are jumping on and watching, because actually even this morning when I jumped on just to grab a title thing off of it, I noticed that Rebecca King out of our Burien office, she had a big, hey, from Normandy Park, I'm here, you know, in the comments. So I know you guys are engaging in that, but just wanted to point some attention that way. Let's do some more stats because the stats right now are really interesting. So we've been talking about how listings have been growing kind of as people become more and more comfortable in their current situations. We have more and more activity happening. Last week over week, there was a 25% increase in listings. And again, those listing numbers have increased for several weeks in a row. Also really interesting though is pending transactions across the MLS was increased week over week, almost 10%. Pendeds are up right now 86% from the low watermark, right, of the pandemic, right, the March 30th to April 5th. So from the bottom week in the MLS for pendeds, we're up 86% from there. And even still, what's really interesting is obviously we're in the prime time of the year generally for real estate to be sold, and last week's pendeds are only 6.7% less than the same week last year. Let that sink in for a second. 6.7% less pended inventory last week than the same week last year. Consumer confidence is growing, right? I mean, that's all you need to see in order to say there, or to understand what's going on. Now, our solds are still low, right? Because the solds are a lag measure. It's what happens after the activity is done, right? So as we start to roll into the next weeks, we'll see more and more of those sold numbers going up. But right now, you know, all of the indications on the pendants and everything are up, which leads me to the last stat that I'm going to give you for the day. And that has to do with activity and showing from the key boxes, right? We've talked about this stat. Actually, really, we never talked about this stat before the lockdown. And then I started presenting this as a, hey, this is what's happening. This is how many people are getting in and out of houses, right? And we saw for a few weeks it had gone down, and then it's been up for like 8 weeks in a row, 7 weeks in a row now. Last week, from Monday to Monday, it jumped another 21.5%. Okay, in terms of how many people are seeing the houses. Now, every week we're talking about percentages, and it grows and grows and grows. But the really important thing about this week's stat is that the total showings for the entire MLS of people that are getting into homes on Supra, or, you know, through e-keys, right? Last week was 46,003 people. 46,000. The high water mark for the entire year. So remember, we were having a record-breaking first quarter. We were having tons and tons of activity, right, in that first quarter. The high water mark for the year was the first week of March. That first week of March was 44,000. Last week was 46,000. So during our pandemic, during our lock-in, during everything that we're going through, our showings, the amount of people that are out there opening doors, is actually up 2,000 more showings The other thing to really pay attention to is, remember, sometimes stats can be really misleading. We can hear something and we think it means one thing, or we think that it's encompassing one thing, but there's other factors. We just did that. We just did, as an MLS, we just did 46,000 showings, but there are no open houses and there are no previews. Right? So people are not previewing properties like they used to, right? We're not doing brokers opens. We're not doing open houses. All of those things require the key box to be open like they were at the high water mark earlier, right? So it's really, really important to understand, not only are we higher, but we're higher less these other activities that were happening. Anyway, big numbers. Just something to know. All right, we're going to get real close here to the calendar and to our guest speakers. We've got a great special speaker today, or guest speaker today, and I know there's a lot of stuff coming from prosperity and stuff, but I want to mention something that has come to my attention. It started to kind of percolate the end of last week and has kind of hit a little bit of a more fevered pitch today for some of us in the West Seattle office. Something is going on currently with the West Seattle Windermere office. I generally wouldn't bring up what things that are happening with other companies, but I think it's important to understand or to know that as of today, there is no West Seattle Windermere office. It's not in the MLS any longer. There's a lot of information. I can't substantiate everything that I'm hearing, of course, but what it seems to be is that the ownership group has maybe sold to corporate, and that those agents have been moved, their licenses have been moved to different locations, and the West Seattle office is not currently open. Now, there's speculation that they may be looking for other office space. That may or may not ever happen. We just have no idea, and I don't know necessarily what's going on. But what I do know is that when there's change, there's opportunity, and we have a lot of friends and people over in that office that we truly love and adore that may be great fits for our office. And so I just ask for your help in just facilitating or having those conversations. If you learn more about what's going on, that would be great. I am not interested in ambulance chasing. I am not trying to all of a sudden jump on and go, oh, we're going to attack and recruit or anything along those lines. But there are agents in that office that are going to be going through some change and that may be needing someplace new to be, and maybe something that resonates more with them. So those opportunities may be available. The two things to note on that is, of course, those are team builder opportunities, which are great for you. But also, when there's change, there's opportunity for you as agents to potentially get more listings, right? At the end of the day, if they don't have an office in West Seattle right now, it may be good opportunity to be talking to those people that you might be competing with, or the sellers that you're competing with, to say, hey, we're here, we're local, we're solid, we're not going anywhere. It may behoove some of those sellers to go, hey, Berkshire Hathaway is the right choice. And so having that information could be of value that way. Again, in a completely professional way, right? All right, let's move on from that to calendar. We got a pretty light week ahead of us, not a whole lot, but some things to note. Next Monday is Memorial Day, so there is no Zoom room next Monday. There's also no staff next Monday. All right, so just a heads up on that. We'll resume again the following week for Zoom room, but again, no staff on Monday, as that is a day off. The next Zoom room is going to be what is your wig, which is a wildly important goal. And we're bringing in a guest speaker, the managing broker of our Roseburg, Oregon office, who he and I are really very well familiar with kind of this concept of a wig and lead measures and lag measures and things of that nature. He's going to come in and teach that. His name is David Stribling, and he's amazing, phenomenal. That'll be the next Zoom room in 2 weeks, not next Monday, but the following. Again, just a reminder, next sales meeting is going to be at 11 o'clock, right? Next sales meeting, 11 o'clock, same place right here. All right, so with that, I would like to introduce our guest speakers today, but one specifically, we have not yet had the privilege of having Nicole Giamatti, who is the Vice President and Division Manager for Prosperity, or I'm sorry, for Equity, Title, and Escrow. I do that every time. I'm always going to struggle with Prosperity and Equity and getting them back and forth. At any rate, but Equity, Nicole Giamatti is here. Welcome, Nicole. Oh, you're on mute.
All right, I literally cannot see any of you, so I'm just going to pretend like I can see all of you and everybody's smiling. So I wanted to just go over a couple things. One, I am super excited. We heard from a lot of people like that May was going to be their brand new year. They've lived through everything that, they let everything slide when COVID first started, and May was going to be their new year. And I'm pleased to say we are seeing that. I mean, it is so exciting. We're seeing multiple deals come in. Escalation clauses are back. Those had kind of went away for a minute. They're back, and it is just flowing. Listings are converting right away, which is amazing. I mean, we are seeing, we need this listing, boom, next day offer, houses have 10, 12 showings on them, multiple offers. It's amazing. So very, very thankful for that. But I had a few things that I wanted to go over with you, and two our stories on transactions that we had here at Equity that I feel like are very unique, and just wanted to kind of spotlight the family company a little bit. So right now, as most of you know, or may not know, that the IRS is actually closed. So to get a payoff from the IRS is a complete nightmare. And to send them a check, they are literally saying, you can send it to us, but they can receive mail, but they are not processing anything. They are about, right now, if they were to open all of their mail, they are about 9 months behind in processing. So big nightmare. Well, we had a transaction here at Equity where there was an IRS lien on title, sale transaction. There were no other deeds of trust, but that wouldn't have mattered in this situation. And we had the client, they provided, all their receipts of their payments and everything matched up, but we didn't have an actual payoff from the IRS. And I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but IRS has first lien rights, so they will wipe out everybody. It doesn't matter what deeds of trust are underneath there. So it's a big deal to have your payoff and have it be right from the IRS. Well, we are in a situation, we needed to close. It's brothers that own this property, and we just decided to again challenge the map to the yes that our CEO says, everything goes right up to the top. And I've heard that before, but I wanted to challenge it. I've heard it other places, but I wanted to challenge it here. So I did that. I got on the line with our CEO and I said, listen, we got this transaction, here's what I have, what can we offer to these clients? And it's important to note that this IRS lien was $534,000. So it's not a little lien that we're talking about here. And he came up, they reviewed everything, and he said, listen, in this particular situation, and everything's case by case, but in this particular situation, if the sellers would allow us to hold the net proceeds, we'll go ahead and close that. And I wasn't sure if the sellers wanted to do that or not, but they actually did. They said, yes, go ahead, hold our net proceeds. We're confident. We know that this is all that we owe, so we don't care. It's not a big deal. And we were able to get that closed. We closed that transaction with a $534,000 IRS lien on title without a payoff, holding all the proceeds. So the clients gave us enough information where we were comfortable doing that. But I know for my 27 years in escrow, I could not get that done anywhere else. And that was an exception. We made here a business decision where we made a decision that we would weigh out the risk and, put our insurance in front and go ahead and get that closed. So that's one situation. And file number 2 is a situation that actually spun out of your office where Melanie looped me in on a file that is currently closing at ABC Title Company. And there's a situation where a little property has been transferred over time within a family, some with or without title insurance. And in the interim of all the transfers, there's a small portion of the land that needs a quiet title to be done. Quiet title is when the parties go through the courts and figure out who the owner is of that property. Well, that quiet title, in my years of escrow, quiet title means like, oh, hands off. Well, we in this particular situation, Melanie brought up that the sellers have attorney, they're working on it, and everyone's working on it, and they want it to close. But ABC Title Company was saying, we'll do it, but we need you to either find this information, which in that situation, if they found it, they would need the quiet title. But if not, come back after the quiet title's done. Well, that doesn't really work. Right now, especially now, we don't know day to day if people, how they're going to feel the next day. So we want to get things closed as soon as possible. So Melanie brought it to us, and we kicked it all the way upstairs again, just to see how would we handle it. And we, again, made a business decision that if they wanted to move that to us, we would close that file and allow, with disclosures in place, the buyer and the seller to deal with that quiet title portion of the property after closing. So these are things, of course, we want to make, come to these decisions, especially when our partners are involved, you guys. We know that this is a family here, so we know that people aren't just going to disappear on us after closing. So there's a lot of weight when you guys are on a transaction with us, and there's a lot, what I'm seeing, so much more flexibility when we get together with you guys and come up with what we want to do and get a file closed. So I just wanted to share those two stories. They were unique for me in my career. I've never seen a file get the green light to close when any portion, even I know that this one was a small portion, but even if it's a sliver, I've never seen that go through. So pretty excited about that. Just my escrow nerd side was like really geeked out to see that happen. I mean, that's when you really start seeing putting the consumer first, putting our partnership in place, and knowing that together we can get something done, and we have a good relationship here, and we can make it happen. So that's just two situations that I wanted to share with you. The last that I wanted to share is that we are developing some classes that we can offer. They're not clock hour classes, but they are virtual training classes that we can do. I'm working with Melanie on that. She is going to coordinate it with, I'm not exactly sure who at your office. I'm thinking Nimrata, but I'm not sure, where we can give virtual classes twice a month. And these are classes just for our Berkshire family. They're not for everybody else. We're not doing them for anyone else. And yes, they are, we'll show you how to use things like, just for example, Instagram, how to marry your the basics with social media, how to Instagram for intermediate, for advanced users, Facebook, Google My Business, all these types of things. How to do a presentation over Zoom, how to use BombBomb, all these types of things, but we have different levels of users, and we'll offer those twice a month. We do have the basics in there too, how to read a settlement statement for any new brokers or any of the seasoned brokers that just want to revisit it. Right now, more than ever, especially with everything being virtual, I know that a lot of brokers that are on my desk, are their consumer is going back to them even more so than they have before. So it is good for you to know how to spot things on that settlement statement. Of course, that's our expertise, and we want to do that, but you're going to get the question generally first. So we are happy to go over that. But just a lot of different things that we have going on right now. We've really very proud of the team. We've pivoted pretty quickly as far as everything that we have to offer, but we're really trying to we want to share with you Zoom and BombBomb and things like that, because our home book we have virtual. We can show you how to insert that into your presentation virtually, any of those things. So really excited. We have a list over to Nailani, and that list is just going to keep growing. We'll start at 2 classes a month that we're going to offer to any of our Berkshire partners to join us. And so look for that information to come internally, but we will continue to develop on those classes, and just do our part and do whatever we can to help. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing those things and being with us this morning. I know you are super busy, but you guys are growing. You're doing all kinds of things. I do want to
Yes.
I do want to piggyback on, you were just talking. I've seen the list now of those classes that you're going to be bringing, and they really fall really well with today's topic of skill set, right? I mean, really, it's just another way that we're going to be able to bring the agents opportunities to grow their skill set. right? Really
Right.
sharpen that axe. So I appreciate that. And that quick, the quiet title thing, that is an amazing. I know a lot about what's going on with that. That is something that I've been involved in on the other side of, and boy, oh boy, there's a lot going on there. So really impressive stuff. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So my thought process there is just, I want to, whenever I have these, I want to bring them to you because we really have weight when we work together. When a situation comes up, that's when our partnership really carries some heavy weight and we can move things forward. But going back to the classes, all of those classes that you're seeing on there, Tay, and that we'll be offering, my team can also, we will definitely do 2 times a month and we'll increase that if we need to, but start out 2 times a month offering those to anybody in the partnership. But any of those on there, we can take those offline and do one-on-one. So my sales team, myself, we have multiple people that can give those classes. So sometimes if you're not interested in doing the group class, don't hesitate in contacting any of our sales team and getting a one-on-one class with any of those. They'll help coordinate that for you, and they are more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I know, Bill, you are there, and I know that you've got some stuff with Home Services Insurance that you wanted to briefly hit. Well, what's going on? Oh, look at you. You're at like a fairground or something. What's back there?
No, hey, I'm at the beach.
Oh, at the beach. At the beach.
Looks a fairground. Come on, you've been in confinement
You're
too
under
long.
you're under my bar. There's a bar there. I can't see it that well.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead, please. Though. No. What's going on? What's new?
Hey, I just wanted to bring up something because I've been working with a lot of clients. I've been so busy, and I'm so thankful that the referrals and that you guys are passing along to me. And one of the things I run into a lot of times, especially with first-time home buyers, is they say, "Hey, you know what? Why are you quoting my insurance at this number when I paid $500,000 for my house?" And the reason being is that when I quote a home, I quote it based on the square footage. We don't care so much about the school district, the walk score, access to shopping, and all of those things. So it's not atypical or untypical for a $500,000 home to be insured only for maybe $250,000 because that's the cost that it takes to rebuild it. We don't rebuild the land. And again, those other factors don't come into play. So that's one of the things I just wanted you guys to be aware of. And I wanted to also let you know, I think every client I've worked with probably in the last 2 months, I have crushed it on their auto rates. So many times you guys are working with maybe a boyfriend, girlfriend that are living in a house or they're renting and now they're moving and they're going to get married in the next 6 months. And when I know that's happening, the carriers will allow me to marry them inside the system, and they get a much better rate. And oftentimes these, the boyfriend, girlfriend, they have their insurance with different carriers. And when I put those two together and throw the house on top of it, it's astounding at how much they can save. I just did a lady, Diana Hinderly, in the Berrien office. They're buying a home up in Arlington. The lady was paying about $1,800 a year just for her insurance alone. And I'm doing her insurance and her boyfriend, domestic partner. He's got 3 cars. We're doing 4 cars for what she was paying just on her own. I mean, it's astounding what can happen. So, and the last thing I'll leave you with, if you guys, when you work with a condo client, I can tell you, one of my carriers, Travelers, they just crush it on their rates. It really doesn't matter if it's a $700,000 condo or a $200,000 condo. It's kind of based on the square footage because they're all kind of, in that 1,000 square foot range. I can tell you that the rate for a condo is with Travelers with just immaculate coverage is going to be probably about $325 to $350 a year. I mean, it's less than $1 a day, and that's incredible coverage. And when you're working with Kara or Mark or whoever, that helps with their debt ratio tremendously on the back end for their loan. So just give me a shot. I'm here to help you guys. Like I said, I am incredibly busy, and I loved it. I worked, I think, 9 hours on Saturday and Sunday, just pounding stuff out. But it's all good. We all have to take it when we can get it. So I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Nice. Thanks, Bill. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will tell you, the reason, again, that we had the little bit later start time today was because there was a manager meeting for all of Washington and Oregon, and Nicole was on that call. She can she can affirm this. We were talking about different ways that agents could be utilizing lead generation opportunities. Like, how can we do lead generation in this time, and how can we be helping our agents come up with different ways? And one of my big things that I have talked about from the beginning, and I'll remind you all now, because this is really a great opportunity to really have those. If you've talked to your SLI already, you have an opportunity to go back to them, right, and continue to talk with them and to say, how's it going? What's going on? But be really specific and direct with what you're doing, and offer something of value. And it is really easy to just say, hey, I've been hearing some people that are getting some amazing situations that are just now getting around to spending the time to check, are their insurance rates, how are they doing? My insurance guy is just talking about saving people so much money. You may want to reach out to him, right? It is a great, easy, soft thing that you can do in a conversation to bring value to your SOI, to the people that we're calling. But also, and then, I mean, gosh, don't we look like a hero if they do connect with Bill, and Bill's able to save them a ton of money on their homeowners or on their joint policies. So at any rate, I just think it's a great opportunity, and I think it's a really good touch point. So awesome. Thank you, Bill, very much.
Thank you.
Kara Nunley, you have got a ton to talk about. I know you do, and you've got amazing things to share. We have a day of amazing things to share. What do you got?
Yes, thank you, Tay. Good afternoon, West Seattle and Burien. So a few things I want to share today. An announcement came out yesterday from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, so FHFA. They announced that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have issued temporary guidelines regarding the eligibility of borrowers who are in forbearance or have recently ended their forbearance and are looking to refinance or purchase. So this is new information that just came out yesterday that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to read this from the FHFA directly. So they state that borrowers are eligible to refinance or buy a new home if they are current on their mortgage, in forbearance, but continue to make their mortgage payments or reinstated their mortgage. Borrowers are eligible to refinance or buy a new home 3 months after their forbearance ends, and they have made 3 consecutive payments under their repayment plan or payment deferral option or loan modification. A lot of information right there. So the kind of key takeaway is 3 months. So if they were in forbearance and after they end their forbearance, they must wait 3 months to purchase or refinance and continue to make consecutive payments, which is something that we will need to confirm has been done. If you have a client that has forbearance questions, just bring them to Marker Eye so we can answer them, since we have the direct information and knowledge needed to answer those questions. Also, they stated homeowners who are in COVID-19 forbearance but continue to make their mortgage payment will not be penalized. So there are mortgage companies that are putting the forbearance language on, reporting it on the credit report. However, they haven't actually been in forbearance and they've been making their payments. We just need to prove that and they're able to purchase or refinance the house. So that's the first bit of information. The second piece of information, which I'm excited to announce, is the Washington State Housing Finance Commission Down Payment Assistance Program is back. So yes, I know, I'm so excited. I've reached out to about 5 of my borrowers yesterday, thanks to Rachel. She followed up with them and let them know that the program is back. So some new requirements, 640 minimum credit score to a 45% debt to income ratio, or a 660 minimum credit score to a 50% debt to income ratio. So the debt to income ratios have changed a little bit along with the credit score requirements. Next big announcement is manufactured financing is back. So we are able to finance manufactured properties on conventional loans only. This is as of today. So just know that if you've had someone who was looking at manufactured properties and they've reached out to some lenders that weren't able to do them, or their credit score requirements are a little bit higher, ours are going to be 640. I know some people have 680 minimum credit scores on manufactured, and I believe ours are going to be 640. So if you have someone who was denied with another lender or is still looking at manufactured properties, reach out to Mark or I, and we'd be more than happy to take a second look for them. Another big bonus is that through the end of June, so June 31st, Prosperity is giving buyers, whether they're purchasing or refinancing, a $500 closing cost credit. So yeah, huge. Now they must close the loan 60 days, no later than 60 days after June 30th. So they can close anytime. So it's really good as long as they have application by June 30th and they close 60 days after that. They can close anytime between then. That's just the latest. Okay, so that flyer was sent out to you guys, and I think Mark, I believe, has sent that out to the West Seattle, or will be sending that out today. So if you guys have any questions regarding this information on forbearance, the programs that are back with down payment assistance, manufactured housing, or this $500 bonus, reach out to Mark or I. Mark, you popped in, so you have anything you want to add?
Did you mention, Kara, that our credit scores went down to 640 for FHA, conventional, and VA? Okay, good.
Yep,
I'm sorry,
so
I missed it.
640.
Yep.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, so all of our credit scores went down to the 640 minimum. So that's a huge step for Prosperity, because a lot of the lenders are still having their credit score requirements at 660 or 680 even. So, and also Jumbo went down to 700 and not 720, and high balance as well. So great things that Prosperity is moving forward, and we are definitely prospering in this time, which is something that, you know, we're grateful for.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Kara. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff you guys have got going on right now. That's fantastic. Okay, everybody, I know it's 12:15. Internal time clocks are like lunchtime, stomach growling, whatever. Maybe you're tired of looking at Zoom screens or whatever. If your camera is on, I ask, please don't fall asleep. Just stick with me another 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. All right. I've shortened this up because I knew what we were walking into today. And, you know, we've never said, hey, sales meetings are half an hour or an hour or whatever. They've generally been about 35, 40 minutes. And I know that this one's a little bit long, but stick with me, because I don't want to push off the part two of the message that we started last week, right? Last week we talked about mindset, right? How are you doing with your mindset? Are you getting that extra sleep? Have you been getting your exercise? Have you tried the meditation thing? Have you just taken the time to just focus on your breathing and try to reset, right? And kind of recenter yourself for the day? Did you shut off the news, or did you do better at shutting off the news, right? If you couldn't shut it off completely, because that's so hard to do, right? Have you done better, right? Did you give yourself an opportunity in the last week to try to get your mindset in a space where you're ready to then go to that next step of really like, how do I build my skill set, right? So from mindset to skill set, and next week to actions, right? But skill set, what is your skill set, right? Well, it's things that are learned, right? It's things that are practiced and approved upon. It's utilizing tools that are available to you. You know, there's a quote from Abraham Lincoln, right, that talks about cutting down a tree. He says, hey, if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend 4 hours sharpening my axe, right? You give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, 4 hours of that, I am going to work on my tools. I'm going to work on my skill set, right? Because that means that if I get my axe right, if I get my skill set right, then when I go in to do the work will be much less laborious, right? It will be much more consistent. It will be much more effective. I was listening to a real estate coach the other day, and he talked about a skill set as being a thing where when you grow your skill set, it allows you to get much more done in much less time, right? Same idea as that quote from Abraham Lincoln, right? This idea that you can accomplish so much more if your skills are right. So are we sharpening our axes? Are we working on our skill sets, right? I know, okay, so you're thinking, well, gosh, Tay, all right, fine. Okay, I need to work on my skill set. How do I work on my skill set? What's available to me for that? I will tell you this. Um, this would generally be a great time to take notes, but when we're done, I'm actually going to hit send on an email that's going to go out to the whole company that is going to have everything that I'm going to talk about right now in that email. It is going to be a major resource for you in the next week and coming weeks as you continue to build and work on your skill set. So you don't need to write any of this down, but listen for things. This is kind of going to be a list of sorts. Listen for things that resonate with you, and then make that action to open that email and get after it and be intentional about choosing what you're going to do to work on your skill set and to grow your skill set, because we have so many opportunities for you to do that. So let's get into it, right? I'm going to be kind of reading from the list, so bear with me, but skill set things. So things like, Zoom Room, things like the trainings that Nicole Giamatti was talking about that are going to be coming up right for us that will help you work on your skills, your new crew meetings. If you're a new agent, 2 years and less in the business, your other online trainings, these sales meetings all give you opportunities to work on and hone your skills. How have you been doing with your objection handling in your scripts? Remember, weeks ago, we sent out scripts from Tom Ferry and from Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. Have you worked on those? Those are great skills that you could work on, and you have the resource for that. Again, it's going to come back out again in this email today. How are you doing with working on getting those certificates, right? Those certifications, the different trainings and things that have been available to you, not only before COVID, but definitely during this lock-in. How are you doing on those? Great skills you could be sharpening. National Association of Realtors has all kinds of opportunities, right? Have you been checking out those resources? Have you been working on creating a powerful CMA presentation, or refining your CMA presentation, or presenting maybe in practicing your CMA presentation? How are you doing with forms? Could you be sharpening your skill set on forms, right? You can go to YouTube and you can check out our forms classes. You could be, writing new, you could be writing practice purchase and sale agreements or practice listings. For those of you that are doing 20, 30 transactions a year, all right, you're doing it all the time. But for some of us that are doing, 2, 3, 4 transactions a year, having that practice and being able to consistently work on making sure that when we're ready, or when we have the opportunity, we're ready for that big stage, right? When we have the client ready to go, we know what it is that we're offering for them to sign and what we're asking them to go through in the process. Are you working on those? Are you working on your farms? Are you working on your SOI? Are you checking out Tom Ferry videos, things of that nature, right? That are helping coach you and give you ideas of ways to grow your business, right? What about our personal website? Show of hands. I love that. I know you can't really show me your hands, but show of hands, right? How many of us have gotten into the backside of our website and really checked out what's there, right? If you go to the backside of your website and you go to resources, you click the resources tab, it drops down, you'll see a resource center tab, right? And there's training and education. I see your hand, Tamara. I love it. Thank you. You turned your camera on just to show me your hand. I love it. Okay, so but that you go to that tab, there's all kinds of resources there. Just to name a few: 7 steps to your best career, an overview of RCMA, home partners training programs, Gino Blafari mindset, routine, self-confidence, Tom Ferry expired letters, and pre-qualifying sellers, and on and on and on. That's right there for you at the backside of your website. Again, those are things that you have access to that you can work to sharpen your tools at any time, right? We grow that skill set. What about the National the National BHHS Resource Center? Have you checked that out recently? You can log in there, click on the Learn Center 2.0, and oh my goodness, certifications, home marketing pricing strategies, real estate lifestyle planning, time management and activity planning, tech talks, training courses. There's something entitled Be Different Than the Rest, Attracting Customers. There's How to Get Ripped Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, that's not there, but there is a lot that is there to help you build your skill set, right? So go and check those things out. In the email that I'm going to send out to you, there's going to be 11 I believe there's 11 attachments. These 11 attachments are all things that you have gotten from us in the last 36 days. We've had about 36 or 37 days of the lock-in, right? And you're each getting either from Nolani in Burien or from Russ in West Seattle, you're getting emails daily with more things of value. But I'm going to share with you, or I'm going to name for you right now so that you know what's there in that email, that the attachments that they have been sending and working so hard on over that time. There's 11 of those that we're going to send. There's the scripts from the BHHS. There's in an attachment. There's scripts from Tom Ferry. There's the guide that gives you the opportunities where to find the trainings and the classes and the certifications that you can go and take. I just heard from Michelle Hunt yesterday, crushing certifications in our West Seattle office. The stuff from My Cabin. Remember, if you remember towards the beginning, that those are the tiny house guys that can help you figure out if you can put things on the property, right? How do you implement that into your business? Pinnacle, the new program scripts and how to use that and trainings on that. Differentiation tools. We talk all the time. I talk to recruits all the time about all of the things that we do that no other companies provide, right? What are the things that make us us and unique? Does the